Okay, so those are the parts that we're going to start with. It's a retainer gate. If those of you familiar with the carbon Z-Cub, that little guy is a cousin of the one that goes in that one. Anyway, let's dry fit everything. We'll put the side rails in. And that fits together like that. These cheek rails are marked with an F. Everything goes forward. Anything with an F on it goes forward towards the motor, and that's also marked with an F. That goes beside the rails, and it's important that these are flush with each other. The side cheek and the top of the rail, slide rail, need to be flush when you glue it all together, because that's going to determine how easily this shuttle or slide fits in here. It's going to slide in like that. Okay, so we're dry fitting all the pieces and parts. This is the rail, the cheeks, and the rack deck, and the slide. Okay, so dry fit all that. The next thing to do is to put the slide together, or the slide, or the shuttle, whatever. So first thing you do is you put all F's go forward as usual. That fits in the two tab-in slots up front. So you end up with something like that. Eventually it'll come together and eventually look like this. This little staining on the wood is a little shot of Tri-Flow, or WD, on the bosses. Well, on the little teeth that fit in the slide rails. It just makes it easier working. Doesn't do any harm. So it comes out of there like that. And what we're going to dry fit right now, is that. So this, let's see, this piece with the F on it goes forward, as does this. Goes together like that. Okay? And then we'll eventually glue that. The tricky part coming up here is these little feet. Let's clear some of this. This looks like a little ski. And it has a F for forward on it. If you look at it very closely on the internet, they go on 4 corners, like that. Okay, it fits in the slot. It's important to get these in line with line of travel of the sled. And we're going to take another one, and eventually we're going to be gluing this with CA, and you want to get them lined up straight. So just line them up with the corners. Well, not with the corners, but the outside corners of everything. Like so. And one on each corner. So we have 2 for what's going to be the front, and 2 for what's going to be the back. And they go back here. Pretty simple to do. You just want to get them all lined up. Not a bad idea to get a straight edge of some sort. Okay, we're back. Not a bad idea to get a straight edge on it like that. And push them in. And then make sure they're square and plumb. Well, flat this way. We're at a 90 to the sled. Probably use that. And then we'll drop a CA here and here. Just to tack them in place. Let them dry. It's not absolutely critical that these get exactly perfect. You want them as perfect as you can get, but because I say that because eventually we can put a block sander on there and, you know, straighten them up or deburr them. In fact, we're going to deburr all the sharp edges once you get the sled built. Anyway, that's with the sled. That goes on there like that, if you're so inclined. And you can lay it on there like that. Whoops. That won't happen because the others will be glued. But they're going to want to kick over on you because there's a draft angle for the laser cut. So you just have to watch that, the draft angle of the laser cutting. It has to do with heat. So we'll drop there, spray it with some kicker, and you're good. Okay, that's pretty much it for the dry fit. Now let's glue it together. Okay, here we go. We're going to do the rack deck and the cheeks and the rails. Okay, so forward, 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 forward. Those are the pieces that fit in there, and they're going to fit like so. Okay, fit them in there like that. Alright, same as here, same here on the other side. Okay, so best thing to do here is temporarily set those on there like that, because that's going to get them down in the hole. And probably slide this back in here. And you want to weight these. Okay, we've placed the cheeks temporarily on here and here, and now we're going to weight them. It's going to hold everything down square to the table, hopefully. Then we're going to drop dabs of glue here and there. CA is fine. We found that CA is working and holding everything together. So just touch it here and there. You want to get the fillets. You want to stay outside the rails for gluing, because that'll stay out of the way of the little feet that go inside. Okay? Like so. Get some kicker, just for speed. And I like to put a little heat on it every once in a while. Just speeds things up a little bit, you know. So you can pull the weights off and pull those out of there, pull those out of there, and it should be relatively square, or add a 90 to the deck, to the rack deck. Okay. The next thing to do is put the cheeks. Got a little F. Whoops. F forward. We'll put that there. And that there, forward there. And put it into the slots that are remaining. And it's a good idea to take, you can take your floor when you're doing the cheeks and set it here to give the correct spacing for the tops of the cheeks. You know, you'll have to work it, you have to get it in there so everything's lined up. Good idea to take some of the scrap that the drops are created from, or that are from the drops, and slide it in here to keep the correct spacing in the slide. You know, when you're putting it all together thusly. So that's all how it should go together. They should be relatively flush with each other. You don't want to push down too much because you'll compress the area that the slide goes in. So this is probably a good way to go. Yeah. Come on, so. Had better streams out of these things. Okay, so let that dry a little bit. Put some heat on it. Heat's always a good thing. Want to make sure you don't glue it glue those in there because it's painful otherwise. Okay, so we're starting to see how this stuff's going together. So we'll go along here and create a fillet. There. There. Kicker on it. Little heat. Set everything up. Okay, so those are probably all right. So, clean it all up a little bit if you've got any wet. And there is what goes in the plane. The shuttle or tray or slide. I'll name it eventually. So you see how it doesn't go in there easily right now. So this is what we want it to do eventually. Just slide back and forth in here. So what I like to do is make sure it fits without the feet on it. Comes forward. It gets a lot easier with the feet on it and the handle, the front. Just take a piece of sandpaper or whatever you have for a deburring device and deburr the edges of those things. Alright? Take all the sharp edges off of everything and this it's called deburring and it'll ease life. Okay, next operation is the slide. So there's a forward to this thing. F, always start to the left, or actually, we can push it that way since we're filming, huh? Right in the center. Okay, so forward. I'm going to flip it over, and these things go. So the ski is facing backwards, or the tapered end is facing the back or the rear of the plane. Okay, we're going to do that. Dry fit it real quick, show you again. This is the slide with its feet facing rearward. See the feet tapered into the feet? They go back, so they slide into the out over those bosses. So what I like to do is just sand everything down. Just give it a, deburr. Give it a little taper. Do a little taper on these feet, so it's going to steer into the track a little easier. It's going to take a little bit of sanding to get it working smoothly, but you just expect that. And the front of this represents what angle you need to go into the Pilatus with. You go in, you work it down this way. You're clearing the ESC. This is the ESC bay in here. If you choose to put it there, I'm going to recess the foam so it'll have a little bit more room to drop the ESC into the aircraft. So you put it in there and it slides down to these stops here. But, you just work it back until you can work it into the slides. So this part is what's going to take a little time to work back and forth. So to be able to work back. So we grab some sandpaper, work it into the slide, Probably a little bit much. We'll work it back and forth. Okay, so you want to get it to a point where it slides this easily in the slide. Just back and forth like that. And that's as good as you need it to get. So the next step we're going to do is put the face on. And that is one of these. The face forward, or the F forward, goes here at a 90, so you take your... That's about all you need there. Oops. Thusly, and take a square, if you've got whatever you use for square, and make sure those feet are there, and give it a squirt of CA. Whoops. It's not real critical. Whoops. There. Oh, that's weird. Upside down. Anyway. A little bit more here because this is a grab point. Like that, a little CA or a kicker. Good to go. Start it in there like that. Get into the face of the shuttle or slide. You want to try and get it as 90 as possible. Right, like that as a safety, and drop a little CA in there, into the completed rail thusly. Just as easy as you please. Comes out like that. You start in here with that. So, forward. I like to run the wires on this side of the gate. Because generally it just helps us keep it down. You know, if you've got vibration in your plane and it wants to vibrate up, this is an added safety that you can do. You can also put a rubber band around it here, just to keep it down. But you can feel the snugness, and you should always check the snugness of it. You know, if it remains in that position through vibration, that's a good thing. Anyway, put the Velcro on, and it fits into these slots that are cut here. Neat as a pin, right? So, there you have it. That's what you want to do. This is a Hyperion 3-cell 2200, which is what comes, I think, is stock in the, I know is stock battery in the plane. And there you have it. It slides back and forth. It'll pick that up. Make sure you're clearing the slide. Set it at your desired CG location. I think it's going to be 1, 2, or 3. Maybe even 4. Don't know. Depends on what you put up front. This was Rudderman's Rudderman 98. Very kind of him to loan me the fuse to work with. So here's his fuse. There's the cavity. I put a rubber band here to you know, keep these leads out of the way while you're working with it. I think these leads are going to go back here to your receiver. I'm not sure what they're doing out here, but it's not my plane to mess with too much. I don't want to do too many things to the foam. before Perry gets his hands on it, because he was kind enough to send it to me he got it from Germany and then sent me the fuse. So he hasn't built it or done anything with it yet. So we're going to take this out of here. I'm going to take the battery out of the slide. I think we got to zoom out a little bit. Get a little bit better shot at this. So you'll have built your floor, Leslie. And let me make sure that rubber band's out of the way. There we go. And it's a tight fit, but it fits. It slides in there like that. You want to make sure you're clearing your servo leads if you have them out. Slide it in here like that, and drops in past the Velcro for the ESC, and slides forward and pierces the foam in here, right there. It pierces it. So I recommend epoxying it or CAing the tray into the plane when you finally get that to that point, but dry fit it several times. Make sure you're happy with the installation. This is the pocket I was talking about, recessing vertically down to that carbon fiber spar or strengthening that they've done. Well, I thought very wisely they put that spar in there, or that piece of carbon fiber right there, to strengthen the whole nose. They probably learned that from another model, which we won't mention. Anyway, so I think I would suggest that you recess this thing for that ESC to fit more flush, because as this installs, those dogs go in there and the feet, align it to the rails, and down it goes, plops into there, back it goes to your desired CG location. Hopefully I'm getting this. Back and forth. But you see, as it comes forward, you want to lift over that ESC, like that. So, there, get it in there. You'll have room, you see, in there, below the tray sliding over the ESC, and slide it back. You're plopped in there, and then you're set, and then your ESC is here. So, it's not glued in there yet, but when you glue the floor in there, it'll be solid. So I think the CG is going to be probably 1 or 2 from the pictures of the cutaway. It's about, I'm not sure if you can see that battery in there, but the battery in the cutaway looks like it comes back to the back of the window. What about there? Anyway, that'll change with your various setups. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's the video I wanted to get. Now I'll send all the parts back to Perry and our Rudderman, and he can do his evaluation, and we'll go from there.